but I think the number one thing for him was psycholo psychologically not being able to handle a loss because he had listened to the hype and believed in himself. And then when that happened, like Coleman brushed his losses off and just continued trucking on. And I'm sure that, he hated it in his you know, um, you know, when he was alone, I'm sure he hated it. He may have even cried, he may have even been very upset over it, but he didn't let it show. And but I think once Kerr took that first loss um to Fujita and then the loss to Vovchanchin, you know, he won a fight in between against a guy that really wasn't well known. But Fujita, you can maybe make an excuse, but I think the Vovchanchin loss is what broke him. I think you've got to consider the fact is that Vovchanchin is another guy like Coleman that was kind of born to do this. His mindset, his mentality, his background, and everything. Um, Vovchanchin was the real deal, and running into a guy like that who's more of a fighter than you, I think is something that caught Kerr unexpected. And I think that he was a guy whose mentality was fragile enough that he wasn't really suited for loot. Like he's a good front runner. He's a good front runner. But I think his mentality wasn't there ready to bounce back from losses. And then once they started happening, it didn't matter. He still got paid. He never took, $2,000 for a fight, so he was always able to use that early part of his career, convince people they might show up at the top of his game and um, get paid, So he was paid for a lot of losses, a lot more money than he was paid for those Brazilian tournaments and stuff. But I think more than anything, psychologically, he bought the hype enough that when he lost, especially the Vovchanchin fight, and again, and my hats off to Alex to Usyk, who played Vovchanchin. You could see in the scenes where he was walking out and stuff like that, like Usyk watched prize, he had Vovchanchin's body language down, and the way he moved. But my hats off to him. But Vovchanchin is another guy. If he's not in the top 10 fighters of all time, then I don't know who is.